Welcome to the Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. Well, it's the second to the last Monday of the year, and December has been a month, so let's deal with the last 2 weeks or so. If you are new here, welcome. Today is not a normal video. For all of those who have been around and aren't on Discord, story time. Dave works for Fortune 500, and he's been very happy there for the entire time he's been there. So in the last quarter, things have been, all of the year, but what I'm going to talk about happened in the last quarter. A couple of his female co-workers got together and decided that their lives would be easier without him. And everybody is under a lot of stress. He is in a high stress position. This is nothing new. And one of them decided to cry in a business meeting publicly. Like, she didn't excuse herself and go to the bathroom. She cried in the middle of the meeting because Dave wouldn't capitulate to her feelings because his engineering data told him something very different than what she wanted it to be. I will deal with the crying in a minute. The other female coworker quit, and in her exit interview blamed Dave as part of the reason she was quitting. You can all imagine how I feel about that. So his department broadly is getting moved over to the parent corporation. So the first week he was working from home, he was waiting for his accept or quit letter from parent corporation, and they were supposed to come out on Monday. That was the hard line in the sand that corporate had announced, and they didn't come out on Monday, and then they didn't, they kept getting pushed back, which is stressful enough. And the day before they were supposed to get letters, he gets called by HR, says, "We're having a meeting on Friday." Oh, okay. And then the next day, the corporate letters were supposed to arrive. And they didn't arrive, and they didn't arrive, and the end of business day comes, and they didn't arrive. So, as you can imagine, our stress level has, skyrocketed. Eventually, his letter arrived at 10 o'clock at night. Don't get me started. HR meeting happens. He's told he's being investigated for, And then all last week, we waited to hear. So it was the sword of Damocles hanging over our head all week. And finally found out on Friday, nothing came of it. All the, allegations made against him didn't stick. And they had to ding him for something. So they dinged him for excessive swearing. His entire office swears like the Seventh Fleet has pulled into shore. Look, I am not making excuses for my husband. He is neurodivergent, and when his temper flares, you know it instantly. He has no thought barrier between I am right, you are wrong, and I'm going to tell you why. And when he gets in that mode, his tone can be incredibly combative. Is it better than it was 20 years ago? Yes. Is he, by any stretch of the imagination, perfect? No. But he is upfront and he tells everybody, look, this is what I am, and if I say something that hurts your feelings, tell me. And he's very good at, usually within a half hour, he realizes that he's screwed up, and he will, come and make an attempt to smooth the situation over and apologize and, admit he was out of line. And I'm not making excuses for his behavior. I have told him time and time again, honey, you need to be a little more careful. So now for the crying in the office thing. Back in my day, admittedly at this point, I haven't worked in a corporate office in a decade plus, almost 2 now. But if you cried in the office, you had better been prepared to resign and walk yourself out the door. Not because HR would have forced you out, not because your male counterparts would have forced you out, because the other women in the office would have been so angry at you that you would have been scared to go to the bathroom. It is business. It isn't personal. It doesn't care about your feelings. I don't care how stressed you are. I don't care if it's that time of the month. You do not cry at work. Period. End of story. To quote a great movie, A League of Our Own, there is no crying in baseball, and there is no crying at work. End of discussion. Now, maybe if you are a, hospice nurse and someone you cared for and were close to died, that may be an exception. But in general, if you are in an office building or on a manufacturing floor or in a retail setting, you do not cry at work. I do not care what the situation is. You do not cry at work. You go to your car, you wait till you get home. Business world doesn't care about your feelings. And it's objective. Here's the data. Here's why we're making a decision. And it may not be the touchy-feely decision you wanted, but you don't cry at work. This isn't a difficult concept. There is no exceptions to this. I do not care about your feelings in the office. It is irrelevant. It is a place of business. Grow up and be an adult. Okay, so now that little diatribe is over, and part of the reason this whole situation was extra stressful, he got off the phone with HR and he thought he was being fired. So that in December of 2019, he was working on Wall Street for an old firm that had never, ever laid off people. And there were no financial obvious reasons in December of 2019 to indicate that layoffs were coming. And he made the 3-hour commute into New York City from our house in Pennsylvania. and was called into the office and was part of a mass layoff. Okay, I wasn't, overly concerned. It happens. We've been through layoffs before, me, him, whatever. He was really sick, like for that first month and a half after he got laid off. But we attributed that to the, 6-hour daily commute he was doing, and stress and winter. And then January of 2020 happened, and yeah, we lived in Pennsylvania, and our governor at the time was a power-happy little dictator who thought it was his. I'm not going to go into this. Anyway, in the next year and a half plus, we had no income. We ate through our savings, and it was terrifying. I'm not going to lie, it was terrifying. We got here, things have been good. We've been saving again. And all of a sudden it's December and he thinks he's getting fired, and it just brought up bad memories. So stress level here has been very high, and I did not get any reading done. I managed to read one book last week. I didn't read a book all weekend. I've picked up several things and put them right back down. I'm hoping this week is much better on the reading front, but I'm smart enough to give myself the grace to let, the emotions happen that need to happen so that they are dealt with and done and behind us. Okay, so what did I read this week? I've already returned it to the library. That is The Poison Garden by Karen Harper. This is the first book in the Elizabeth I mystery series. I did read, I think it was the 6th book earlier this month, and that was The Queen's Christmas. So in The Poison Garden, Elizabeth is still a princess. Queen Mary I is on the throne, and Elizabeth is living at Hatfield House in Kent, and she gets a mysterious letter. And said mysterious letter brings her to discover that her mother's sister, so her aunt, Mary Boleyn, is still alive. She's in the process of dying, and things kick off from there. Someone is trying to kill all of the Boleyns that are currently alive, and she decides to solve the case. Now, is this a realistic depiction of 25-year-old Princess Elizabeth? No, it is not. Is this still a very fun historical cozy? It absolutely is. It gives you a very light flavor of Tudor politics. It is, the first book is a very good introduction to the returning characters in the rest of the series. And it's a little over 300 pages, and it took me 4 days to read. Not because the writing is bad, but because I couldn't concentrate. It is a delightful read. It truly, truly is a delightful read. I will be picking up the rest of them throughout the year, and it's one of those historical cozies you can easily slip into in between either, thicker books, heavier books. It just, you get a little bit of Tudor politics, but you're not, immersed in Tudor politics. So that is good. Other than that, I managed to read nothing. Couldn't listen to anything. Nothing physically worked. Nothing on an e-reader worked. So I will try again later today, and hopefully we are over this bad hump. I do have a little bit of a library haul, and one of them is going to show up in my January pile of possibilities, so it's not showing up here. And I ordered, and I was the first person in the library to get it, and it was published this year. That is the new book from Amanda Flower, and it is the first in the First Days of Flight mystery series, and it is To Slip the Bonds of Earth by Amanda Fowler, and I am probably returning this unread. I will read you the inside flap. December 1903. Wilbur and Orville Wright's flying machine is taken off, literally, with a historic 57-second flight in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Meanwhile, back home in Dayton, Ohio, their sister Catherine, a Latin teacher, is manning the brothers' bicycle shop and looking after the family, as she has since their mother died when Catherine was a teenager. Fiercely independent, intellectual, and the only Wright sibling to finish college, 29-year-old Catherine is frustrated by the gender inequality in academia and is eager for a new challenge. She never suspects it will be sleuthing. Wilbur and Orville return to Dayton, where Wilbur accepts an invitation to a friend's Christmas party. Nervous about leaving the as-yet unpatented flyer plans at home unattended, Wilbur decides to bring them to the festivities, where they are stolen right out from under his nose. As always, it's Catherine's job to problem solve, and in this case, crime solve. As she sets out to uncover the thief among their circle of friends, Catherine soon gets more than she bargained for. She finds her number one suspect dead with a letter opener lodged in his chest. It seems the patent is the least of her brother's worries. They have far more earthbound concerns. Prison. Now Catherine will have to keep her feet on the ground and put all her skills to work to make sure Wilbur and Orville are free to fly another day. So, how many red flags did that give you? Yeah, far too many to actually open up and read. Wilbur and Orville are almost incompetent, and gender inequality. I'm sorry. After the second Emily Dickinson novel was filled with innuendo, and if it was possible to slander a dead person, slander. I'm not even going to give this a shot. I am done attempting Amanda Flower books. Her politics are her politics, and she is free to espouse whatever she wants, and I am free not to read it. Okay, and next up, I picked up the third Royal Spy Mystery that is a Royal Flush by Rhys Bowen, and this I'm hoping will break the stress slump cycle I am in. It is not long. I really enjoyed book 2, and it's just over 300 pages, so in theory, this should work. and I will be back on track. And I'm good with that. I'm not going to read the details, but I'm good. Tried to pick up the first Maisie Dobbs book, forgetting that I had already placed a hold on it, so that should come in next week. And I don't know when I'm going to read it. It might, well, can only be described as staggering January pile. Okay. You may have figured out by now my December pile of possibilities is effectively flushed. If I manage to pick up one of them and read them, that will be great. Am I making an effort? No. I'm not going to force myself right now. I need to get out of the slump I'm in. So, unfortunately, that does mean I'm not going to read Ornamental Graces this month. I will read it next December, or maybe Christmas in July. It's too heavy a story to begin with, and I can't. And that's saying a lot. So, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to read The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna, even though I started it and I fell in love with it. Just not working. So we will, say a prayer that a royal flush works, and I'm out of the funk. Okay, so that was the reading week that tried to be. I am taking the rest of the year off from videos. Dave is home on vacation for 2 weeks. I'm going to enjoy 2 weeks. Although you will be seeing a lot of me because the 12 Days of Christmas start the 26th. There's a bonus episode on Christmas Day. And so it's not like I won't be front and center for a while. I will give you somewhat of a preview, as I claimed last year, and I'm going to have to do it this year. I am moving to bi-weekly updates for reading updates because thicker books just don't fit the weekly update cadence. Now, is it going to be a challenge? Yes, because I am very used to talking to you lovely people on Monday mornings. Does that mean that I'm never going to do a Monday morning update, weekly? No, if I have gotten a lot read, I'm probably going to do a weekly update. But for the most part, I'm looking at my January pile, which you will see during the 12 Days of Christmas, and staggering is the only word I can use for it. And that's it. It's staggering. I'm very excited about it, but it's staggering. So, have a very, very blessed and Merry Christmas. Enjoy time with your family and friends. I hope you have more love and laughter than your heart can hold. And if you are far from loved ones and you need someone to talk to, I have a video coming out every day. You can always talk to me in the comments. You can hit me up on Instagram. I will probably be checking it at least once daily. And one more thing. So, the last thing, I've been saying forever on my blog that I was going to do a newsletter. Well, the newsletter comes out, the first one comes out January 1st. So if you want to be subscribed to that, there is a link in the description box. There is a subscription box at the top of my homepage. And if you subscribe there, you will get the newsletter. It's going to come out monthly. And I talk about it in my goals video, which comes out before the end of the year. So you will get plenty of that. Okay, that is all the housekeeping. Go have a wonderful, merry, happy Christmas. Enjoy the time off with loved ones. Enjoy the weather. It will be 75 here and sunny, and our trees are thinking about dropping leaves. So hopefully it's a little more Christmassy where you are. We're going to, smoke a turkey and a brisket on Christmas Day. And I appreciate all of your prayers. Dave appreciates all of your prayers. They were felt. And have a very happy and blessed Christmas. Leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.